What's up and welcome to the channel. My name is TechShot and thank you guys for joining us for our comparison on the 45 shield versus the 9mm shield. I feel that a lot of people are looking at these two guns now. Which one do I want to get for concealed carry for my first gun or whatever? And we are going to compare both of them right here in one video. Smith & Wesson has made enough changes in the 45 platform that is definitely noteworthy to compare it to the original 9mm or the 40. If you're a 40 person, all you need to know that's going to be different in this video from the 9 is the 40 is harder to shoot than the 9 and it has one less round than the 9. So you can pretty much gain everything you need to know from this video if you're looking at a 40, but we're going with the 9. That's the one that we like to run. So we're going to talk about everything in this video. We're of course going to do some shooting. Features, what's changed with the 45, pros and cons between the both of them, triggers, how they carry, how they shoot, pretty much everything you need to know, hopefully to help you out if you're looking at these two guns. Otherwise, hopefully this will just be entertaining for you guys to watch. Let's go ahead and start right out of the box. You're going to get a cardboard box. So if you're looking for something fancy there, it is not going to happen. They give you a cardboard box. You get paperwork, manual, you know, all that kind of stuff, lock. But that's not where the exciting part is. The 9mm shield is going to come with one 7-round flush base plate magazine. And then it's going to come with an extended 8-round magazine. All right. So as a backup or to get your third finger on there, if that's something that, you know, you really have to have, there you go. That option will work good for you. The 45, you're going to lose 1 round. So it's the same capacity as the 40. You're going to get a 6-round magazine and then a 7-round extended magazine. So you might be saying, well, man, that's great. Why would I go with the 40? You got to keep in mind this one is a little bit bigger, and we will show those differences obviously here in the video and talk about how it kind of changes things a little bit. Now, one thing with the base plates on the magazines, the extended portion of those, on the 9mm, you had this little sleeve that just rises up and down. You can take it off or whatever. When you put it in a magazine holster, one of the biggest problems I've seen is that this will actually slide down. It'll pinch your skin. And mainly, one of the biggest issues as well was if it did slide down and you had to use your gun and had to reload, you go to slide it in there, a lot of the times you'll get that effect, especially with a full magazine, and you really have to jam it in there. Not something you want to have to worry about in a concealed carry, self-defense type of situation. Now, a lot of people would take these sleeves off, but your ejector sits right here, and without that sleeve, the magazine is able to go up and could break the ejector. So there's some things to think about there. It was not a good design. You can't really glue it either, because then you can't take your base plate off. So not the best of designs, but it looks like Smith & Wesson has fixed that with the new base plate. It is basically your extended portion, base plate, everything is all one piece. So they have fixed that issue. 9mm shield. Let's go ahead and walk around this thing really quick, show you some of the features here. No spot for a rail up front. Rounded off trigger guard, slight undercut underneath the trigger there. You can see your magazine button release that is not reversible. And your grip texture. The grip texture has these little bumps on it. I don't know how much, you know, grip tape companies and Talon grips have made off of selling Talon grips for this thing, but I'm sure it has been a ton of them, because when you start shooting, it really doesn't do a very good job of keeping the gun in your hand. There's not a lot to grab onto there anyways, so you definitely want to keep that in mind. You can see your cutout there for the slide, your slide serrations, loaded chamber indicator up top. It's actually just a little viewport. 3-dot white sights. Now, one thing on the 9mm and the 40 caliber shields is you can get these with night sights from the factory. You can get the performance center from the factory. That comes with the fiber optic sights, the ported barrel, a little bit better trigger, that kind of thing. You can also get the performance center shield with the night sights as well, the tritium night sights. So you have more options straight from the factory with the regular shield. That's something I wanted to point out. Other than that, pretty much everything is pretty basic there. On the 45 shield, this is where it kind of changes a little bit. They've done front and rear cocking serrations. Now, I like the way Smith & Wesson does their cocking serrations. I think they're pretty, they work really well. On the front though here, they're not high enough up on the side for you to really get a good bite in your hand. If you want to do a press check, you really have to curl your thumb or whatever just to be able to utilize those. Aesthetically it looks good, but really functionally, or it's just not there for me anyways. Rounded off trigger guard as well, no spot for a light or a laser. You can see the undercut in the trigger guard is a little bit more defined there, so that is definitely makes it a little bit more comfortable to hold in the hand. You can see right here your magazine button release, and then the grip texture that they've done on the 45 shield. Hopefully they will incorporate that into the 9mm and 40. These little bumps are pretty aggressive. I mean, it really does feel like the gritty sandpaper type of Talon grip that you can get, except you don't have to worry about it peeling up or anything like that. It's all on there, and it's on the bottom of your extended base plate. Really nice job with that. The added benefit, this being a 45, is being able to hold on to this gun. That definitely gives you a much better purchase, especially when your hands start sweating and things like that. Loaded viewport as well, 3-dot regular sights. There are no factory night sight options available yet. I'm sure there will be in the future, but this is the only option. Of course, you can get the one with the safety, but there's no performance center yet. There's no nothing like that yet. So this is the only one for right now. And going to the other side, the magazine button release is not reversible. So that's something that you definitely want to keep in mind as well. All right, so let's go ahead and show you how they look actually compared with one another. If we put them on their backs here, you will definitely be able to tell that the 45 shield is a little bit taller, and in the front is definitely a little bit longer. All right, so let me show you how they look with the extended magazines on here. Now, if you take the extended magazine, which is an 8-round on the 9mm, and compare it to the stock base plate on the 45, you can see, I'll move this over just a little bit, they are pretty much the same length. You have a little bit of difference there, but not much at all. And then if you take the extended base plate of the 45, it's definitely going to be taller once again. Footprint in and throughout the trigger guard and everything is pretty much the same. So you just have a little bit longer grip, a little bit longer barrel. Otherwise, they are definitely pretty close. They did a good job as far as getting the 45 as close as they could to the 9mm while making those little changes to accommodate it. You can see right there as far as the widths. Technically, from what Smith & Wesson says, it's 0.99 inches as far as the 45 shield. The 9mm is 0.95. So you really don't have a big difference there. Mrs. Techshot will show you these guns. We'll talk about the specs here really quick. The 45 shield has a 3.3 inch barrel. The 9mm has a 3.1. Overall length on the 45 is 6.4 inches, and then you have 6.1 on the 9mm shield. We talked about the width. The height on the 45 is 4.8 inches, and the height on the 9mm is 4.6. And then you have a little bit of a weight difference here too. So on the 45 shield, you're looking at like 22.7 ounces with the magazine included. That's empty. And then on the 9mm shield, you're at like 21.5 ounces. So you only have like an ounce, a little bit over an ounce as far as a difference in weight there. But it may make a little bit of a difference inside the waistband. All right, so you do have a stainless steel slide and barrel on both of these. I know that Smith & Wesson used to use the Melanite finish. From what their website says now, it's an Armor Night finish. So I didn't look it up. I don't know how much difference there is there, but it's just something that I thought I would definitely want to point out to you guys. All right, so now that we got the specs and the features out of the way, let's talk about how they shoot. The 9mm shield, we've had this gun for a long time. I feel that we are actually pretty good with this gun, but it definitely wasn't overnight. This is one of the first guns that we actually started shooting in our shooting career. So It being a smaller gun, it's a little bit harder to learn on. So if this is something that you're looking at for maybe your first gun even, you definitely want to get some practice with this gun, because you know there is a definite learning curve to it. It handles the 9mm round very well though for its size, and it strikes a very good balance between carryability and shootability, and it's one of those guns that when you actually take it to the range, it's something you look forward to shooting. You don't feel like you have to just to get good with it. So definitely props there as far as the 9mm shield. It definitely shoots good, it handles the round good. You just definitely want to get some practice with this gun. Aftermarket and accessories for this gun, as far as sights and triggers and things like that, whatever you want to do, there is an accessory out there for this gun for sure. We talked about the grip. Whenever you're shooting this gun, it can get kind of slippery in the hands. And if you're somebody that has really big hands, this gun may not be as comfortable to you as, let's say, the 45 Shield. So that's just some things to consider. The trigger on this, let me go ahead and show you the trigger on the 9mm Shield. They both have this split hinge design. All right, so if you pull it from the top, you're not going to get any bang. Pull it from in the middle, and you will. Basically, you hit a wall. Pretty clean break. And then the reset. It's hard to hear that. Let me try it again. You can kind of hear it there. That's how this gun has kind of always been. The reset is just let it all the way out and start shooting again. Not a big deal, but it's something that definitely could be better. Speaking of could be better, the 45 Shield is definitely better. Let's talk about how this one shoots. It's a 45, so it has some more punch, it has some more recoil, but the change they made in this grip really makes it to where it is a lot more tame than what you think it might be actually. Shooting the gun, it handles that recoil pretty well. The grip texture and the trigger though really make a difference. Let me show you the trigger on this one. You hit a wall, a lighter and cleaner break for sure, and then the reset right there, so you can hear it, you can feel it better, and it makes shooting quicker, you know, a little bit easier. Honestly, with the way this gun shoots, it shoots better than the 40, that's for sure. The 40 regular Shield is not a fun gun to shoot. I would much rather be shooting the 45. This one just kind of pushes you. You know, it's a 45, it pushes you. The 40 just wants to come right out of your hand. It snaps pretty bad in this platform anyway. So that's just something to keep in mind. Let me go ahead and show you the weight on the triggers here really quick. On the regular Shield, we have a bunch of rounds to this gun. So 6 pounds, 5 ounces. It has lightened up over time too, so 6 pounds, 6 ounces. On the 45 Shield, like I said, they have made some changes to it as far as the trigger. 5 pounds, 10 ounces. And you can really feel that in the trigger, how much cleaner and smoother it is. Oh, 0 ounces, that is super light. Try it again here. 5 pounds, 4 ounces. It's definitely a much better trigger, so they definitely did a good job as far as that for sure. Let's talk about how they carry. Now this is something that the 45 Shield, it's not really fair right now. We don't have the holsters that we really like carrying, the Tolster holsters. We don't have one for it now, so I've had to kind of improvise. I've carried in the hidden hybrid holster that I have. It's kind of a universal do-it-all holster. Don't really like carrying like that because it's not for this gun. I just don't like doing that, but I have carried it, and to be honest with you, the 9mm Shield all day long is definitely more comfortable. This is how I typically carry it. Like I said, Tolster holster inside the waistband. This gun is really, really comfortable to carry. Now, Mrs. Headshot, when it comes to her carrying this gun on her body, you definitely notice that it does print a little bit. That's just something, you know, women wear tighter clothes than we do, so I don't see that as much as she does. But as far as the way this gun feels, the weight, all that kind of stuff, 10 to 12 hours a day, this gun is really a great carry gun. I'm not going to say that the 45 shield is that much harder to carry though. You have 1 more ounce, you have a little bit longer grip. The barrel length doesn't really matter for carry. It is a little bit heavier and a little bit longer in the grip. But this gun right here is not something Mrs. Headshot could carry inside the waistband, because the grip would then really just stick out too much, because even on this gun, it already sticks out a little bit too much already on her, at least carrying like that. So that little bit extra grip length, depending on your body type, depending on how you want to carry, could make a difference, you know, as far as which carry gun would be better for you. Weight, really not an issue. It's really a non-issue. You're gonna have 1 less round, a little bit heavier bullet, you know, whatever, but you know, that little bit longer grip length, although it does help you shoot the gun better and it does feel more comfortable, it's not going to do you a whole lot of justice inside the waistband. So you might want to play around with a few different options and see what will work well for you if you decide to go with the 45 shield. So let's go ahead and do pros and cons on these two guns. Let's start with the 45. The grip texture on this gun, like I said, man, I hope they move, or you know, put this grip texture on the rest of the shields from now on, because that is a really awesome job. One thing I wanted to point out as well is the slide on the 45 is much easier to manipulate compared to the regular shield. The regular shield is kind of, it gets to a certain point and then you really got to pull it back. So if you have any kind of weakness or anything like that, I've mentioned this before, this is kind of like the best unrefined gun out there, in my opinion. There's some little quirks with it. Pulling the slide back is one of them. On the 45 shield, it is much smoother to manipulate. So that grip texture is definitely a pro. It's also longer for people that have bigger hands. So right out of the box, even with the flush base plate magazine, I have smaller hands and I can get all 3 fingers on there. So it definitely feels more comfortable to me, and I know it probably will to a lot of people out there. The trigger is much better. We showed you that, but it definitely translates into shooting as well. Now, you know, depending on your skill level, you could shoot with any gun, you know, you should be able to shoot well with any gun. But I don't care what anybody says. A better trigger translates most of the time to better shooting. You know, it just makes it easier for follow-up shots and your first shots and just shooting in general. And this one definitely has a better trigger. And this gun handles the 45 great. So if you say, hey man, I want to go with the 45 shield as my first gun, I would say make sure you practice, but this is a good one to learn on in this category. It really makes carrying a 45 a viable option. A lot of people talk about, oh man, I carry 45, I won't carry nothing else. But you know, who knows if they carry or not? You know, on the internet you can say anything you want. But I don't see, from talking to people and, you know, my friends and things like that, I don't see a lot of people carrying big 1911s or you know, any type of gun like that. So this really makes it a viable everyday carry option. They really did a great job with this gun. The slide is much easier. It handles a 45 amazing, and it's also a great value. I mean, you're talking about MSRP of $479. You can get them in and around $425 right now, somewhere in there. Excellent gun, excellent gun. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the pros on the 9mm shield. When it comes to value, this gun is it. Sometimes you can catch these things on sale for like $329. MSRP is $449. You know, to me, in the single stack 9mm market, which is still so huge, you're not going to find a better value than this gun. Lifetime warranty through Smith, everything we just talked about, and a gun that has been so reliable through so many different people, not just us. So we have like 1,400 rounds to this gun, and you're talking about less than 5 malfunctions, and most of those I can pretty much attribute to ammo. We had one case where where it did not strip the next round. Don't know what it was about, but we pulled back on the slide, and it went in the battery and started shooting again. Don't know what it was about, but you know, every single gun is going to have a malfunction along the way. I don't care what manufacturer it is. But this gun, through 1,400 rounds, less than 5 malfunctions, and we're using the cheapest ammo we possibly can get, yeah, I'll take that. I will definitely take that. So you're getting a great value. You're getting a reliable handgun that many people have used and tested and agree with that. It's definitely lighter compared to the 45 Shield. So if you're somebody that's just, you say, hey, I want to carry a gun, but I do not want to have to, adjust myself every time I move just because I'm carrying, this is going to be a better option if you're sensitive to weight and things like that. It's also a great shooter. Now, the trigger on this one, especially after shooting this one, I would definitely hope that this the improved trigger goes into the regular Shields as well, because it makes a really big difference. But it is a good shooter, especially for the size of gun that we're talking about here. It also carries one more round than the 45 Shield. There's going to be people that say, well, this is going to leave bigger holes in you, and that may be true. But this one does have one more round, if that means anything to you. And your aftermarket for the 9mm Shield, holsters, triggers, sights, whatever you want, it's going to be out there for this one. The 45 still has to play catch up, obviously, because it is a lot newer. Let's go ahead and talk about the cons on the 45 Shield. This is maybe not the best gun for your first gun. If you're somebody that definitely wants this for your first gun, I just say go practice, practice, practice. But probably not the best option. I would definitely go with a bigger gun, maybe a 9mm start out. But I can definitely see it, you could definitely do it for sure, depending on your skill level. It definitely is a good one. Like I said, it is heavier inside the waistband and the grip is longer. So for concealed carry, which is what these are pretty much aimed at, that's going to make a difference depending on who you are, how you're carrying, your body type, and all that kind of stuff. You just want to keep that in mind. But between the two, it definitely is a con because they're carry guns, and that it just is. The mags are kind of tough to load. I've noticed that they've got actually pretty, a little bit easier anyways, but it seems like sometimes, the rounds will not go all the way back, and these things can be a pain to load, but it's just one of those things. One less round. So if you're somebody that, maybe you don't even like single stack guns, but that may be a deal killer for some people. For me, it's really not, because 6+1 in the chamber with an extra magazine, I think that is pretty decent, for everyday carry. That's pretty much all the cons I have on this gun. I mean, they really did do a good job. For left-handed shooters, you can't reverse a magazine button release. Your slide stop is not on the right side of the gun. If that means anything to you, that'll just be something that you'll have to think about there. All right, and now cons on the 9mm Shield. Although the grip length is a pro for inside the waistband, shooting the gun, it may bother some people. I know that I've talked to quite a few people that just do not like that. They don't like the fact that they can't get all 3 fingers on the gun. For me, I can shoot pretty well like that, so it doesn't bug me as much. For some people it may. So it's definitely something to talk about. It could be a con for some people is what I'm trying to say. Pulling the slide back, we talked about that. Some of the little quirks of this gun, they're cons to me. The mags, when loaded, sometimes you'll get this effect when they're fully loaded. You have one in the chamber and you got to pop that magazine in there. A lot of times you'll get that and you'll just have to jam it in there. And the trigger could definitely be better on this gun. The lack of a reset, really, an audible reset, is something that, it kind of bugs me a little bit. Not a huge deal, but with every version of the Shields and the M&Ps in general, the triggers just keep getting better and better and better. So they definitely have done a lot of good things with this gun. Both of these guns, I feel, would be amazing carry guns. Which one is better, though? I know a lot of people are going to ask me that. They're going to expect me to say that one is better over the other. I really enjoy the 45 Shield. I really do. I feel like with the grip texture and the way this gun handles the 45 round, I feel like I could shoot it as good as the 9. We have a little bit of experience under our belts now, but I really feel that I can shoot this gun just as good as the 9mm. I like the 45. That's just me. I'm not one to go against 9mm because I love the round. I think it's very, very capable. You get one more round in it, which is kind of huge when you're talking about low capacity guns like these. But I just like the 45 in general. Now, Mrs. Heckshot, we talked about this before the video. She likes the 9. This is her gun, and she really enjoys this gun, and she has for a long time. She shoots it well. She's very comfortable with this. Now, when she shot the 45 Shield, I thought she did an amazing job. A lot of you guys thought she did an amazing job. But for her, she likes the 9. She likes that it's a little bit lighter, a little bit smaller. But for me, I'll take the little bit extra in grip length and the little bit extra weight. I would go with the 45 Shield, but that's just me. So hopefully that helped you guys out. We will see you in the next one. If you have any comments or anything that you want to leave down below, I will definitely try to answer them. Let me know what you guys think. We'll see you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.